For the first time in 43 years, you guys, the Dodgers and Yankees are back facing each other in the World Series. And this World Series is a gift. They gave us everything we asked for last night. The first ever walk-off grand slam in World Series history from the legendary Freddie Freeman. I mean, the whole situation. Walking Mookie Betts to get to Freddie Freeman. The moment. Hitting the grand slam on the first pitch with 2 outs and bases loaded. The bat flip. Holding it. Slow motion dropping it. Running straight to celebrate with his dad. And the history of that win. It was poetic. It was a movie.
You didn't even mention how it was an extra innings.
Oh, we'll get there.
It was an extras.
Oh,
it wasn't just a walk-off grand slam in the 9th inning. It was.
Oh yeah.
It was.
Oh, it was magical. And in case you missed that iconic moment, let's relive it right now.
Cortez delivers. Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone. Gibby meet Freddie. Game 1 of the World Series.
I still get chills, and I've listened to that call over 100 times. I mean, the fact that Joe Davis was so on top of it with Gibby meet Freddie, it's insane how many crazy similarities there are from Kirk Gibson's home run in 1988 when the Dodgers won the World Series that year to Freddie Freeman's. Both were game 1 of the World Series, both battling through injuries, both were hit to that right field stand area, both games were with 2 outs, and both home runs were hit at exactly 8:37 p.m.
Yeah.
Chills. Again, I am covered in chills. This is a moment you dream about as a kid. Bases loaded, 2 outs. You're at the plate with a chance to win the game and to have it be a World Series game. Like, it does not get more iconic Hollywood movie script than that moment.
The part that had me... Because, I don't have a dog in this fight. I worked for the Dodgers back in the day, but I don't have a dog.
You're not going to jump on the Dodgers. You live in L.A. You worked for the Dodgers.
But the Dodgers, I know, it was the COVID thing, but they've had more recent success. I've loved the Yankees, too, growing up. So I think they're a really cool historical franchise. I don't have a dog in this fight, but the part, let me tell you the part that made me cry last night.
Okay, we're all crying.
Joe Davis's call, not only was it the Mookie meet... Freddie meet Gibby.
Yeah.
He said, right field, she is gone. And that was an ode to Vin Scully's call of Kirk's home run back in 88.
Yeah.
And, again, this is, to have the wherewithal. I mean, I know that Joe Davis has been the voice of the Dodgers for a while. But
he sat behind Vin Scully and, worked with him.
To have the wherewithal to know that ball went yard in right field, and then to say it in the same cadence, using the same words, as someone who is just so beloved and we miss dearly. I mean, when I worked for the Dodgers, I got the chance to work with Vin.
Oh, yeah.
And I got to sit in his booth so many times listening to his stories over and over. I called him my work grandpa.
Yeah.
It was, and the further removed I get from it, the crazier I realize that is. To have an icon to be so close to an icon, and to have him so willing to share so many stories with me.
And he remembered everyone's name.
I told him my name once.
Everyone. I was an intern. I hadn't even met him face to face first. And when the Dodgers came to play the Angels, I walked in to introduce myself. He goes, "Alex Curry, great to meet you. I love your work." I was like, "Wait, what?"
He knew my name.
I could cry.
I was a very lowly intern. I was one of 3
No, he takes the time.
Interns in that department even. And he just, and anytime I dropped off his stats, he would invite me in. And to hear that
Smiling
in Joe Davis's voice was incredible.
It was magical. I mean, again, everything about that moment was crazy. Freddie Freeman even talked about it in the presser after about it. This is what dreams are made of.
Hey, Freddie, what did it feel like rounding the bases there?
It felt like nothing. I was just kind of floating. Those are the kind of things when you're 5 years old with your 2 older brothers and you're playing football in the backyard, and those are the scenarios you kind of dream about. Bases loaded, 2 outs in a World Series game, and for it to actually happen and hit a home run and walk it off to give us a 1-0 lead, that's as good as it gets right there.
I mean, that was the best World Series game I have ever seen. It was a back and forth battle the whole time. We got free baseball with extra innings, and the Yankees scored first in the 10th, you guys. Then the Yankees bring in Nestor Cortes. He had not pitched in 6 weeks, and he only threw 2 pitches last night. The first one was to face Shohei Ohtani with 2 on, and you think, I mean, everyone thought, this is it. This is the guy you want at the plate. Ohtani's going to be the one to get it done, and then he flies out on that first pitch.
Ohtani's numbers this postseason with runners in scoring position is outrageous. Like
that's what you thought.
It's feast or famine. Yeah. But like it's only if there are guys on base. But like he comes in so clutch. Like he needs that extra pressure. Yeah. Apparently.
Literally, like
so. You thought that was.
He is our savior. Then it didn't happen. Then the Yankees intentionally walk Mookie Betts to get to Freddie Freeman. And in that moment, I was so confused. Like, do they not remember who Freddie Freeman is? Also an MVP. I didn't even have time to process what was happening because I was so confused on the intentional walk. And then first pitch, Freddie hits that grand slam to walk it off and win game 1. And you know what? I'm so happy it was Freddie. He has had such an emotional year with the illness of his son, all the injuries he's been battling through. He immediately ran over to celebrate with his dad and then thanked his dad for throwing batting practice his whole life. And that was a legendary moment in baseball, too. He talked about kind of what his dad has meant to him.
Hey, Freddie, what did it feel like rounding the bases there?
It felt like nothing. I was just kind of floating. Those are the kind of things.
No, we already played that one. Do we have the one of his dad? No? Okay. It was insane. He literally said, this was for my dad. It was not for me. He spent my entire life throwing batting practice, and he thanked his dad for everything that he did for him. He was the first person he ran up and just screamed in his face through the net behind the plate. I mean, it was incredible. That was the first ever walk-off grand slam in World Series history. And even David Roberts, after the game, he was asked, like, how much do you root for Freddie in a situation with all he's been through? And he said, the game honors you. When you play the game the right way, when you're a good teammate, the game honors you. And tonight, Freddie was honored, and he found a way to keep moving forward with his teammates. Now, let's go to the other side, because the big question after the game to Yankees manager Aaron Boone was, why would you bring in Nestor Cortes when he hasn't pitched since mid-September, right? We know that he's a lefty specialist, but to have your first matchup be Ohtani, the bottom of the 10th, game on the line, in the World Series is a little crazy. Now, he did his job versus Ohtani.
I'm going to say, it worked out versus Ohtani.
It worked out versus Ohtani, but we also need to have a moment for that catch, Alex Verdugo. Like,
Alex Verdugo made a couple of plays in this game.
What a baddie. He went over the wall to catch Ohtani's ball, bottom of the 10th. He held on to it and threw it back in. I mean, that was badass.
He had a sliding catch to send it into extras, too.
Oh, yeah. No, he was incredible.
He had so many good plays that kept the Yankees in this game single-handedly.
Oh, yeah. Hero.
He was the MVP of that game for the Yankees.
Oh, yeah.
Particularly. Or Giancarlo Stanton. Who went
home run hero. I mean,
home run hero, 6 in the postseason.
Yeah, he's like everything that we always thought he was going to be. Like when he was in his prime with Miami, we're like slowly starting to see that Stanton like come back. I mean, he was thought to be like he was going to be one of the greats. Yeah. But he's dealt with a lot of injuries throughout his career. But he, like, you forget, like, that is a power hitter.
Yes.
Like, absolutely insane. And I mean, when Aaron Boone explained, he said he thought that Nestor looked good in his bullpen. But honestly, that's nothing compared to a World Series scenario.
But I kind of understand. I mean, the stakes have never been higher. This is the World Series. You have faith in your guys.
But he hasn't pitched in a game scenario in 6 weeks.
In 6 weeks, okay. But
that's a big deal. It doesn't matter, though. He didn't have like a live game. Like you usually do a bullpen. You go and you do.
I tend to think if you are the manager, this is your job to trust your guys, to put them in these scenarios and say, I believe in you to rise to the occasion. And to be fair, again, against Ohtani, he did. So he went out there as the left-handed hitter specialist, and he delivered on that regard.
Yeah, but he didn't complete the job. He lost the game.
But I mean, you're talking about he got to 2 outs. That was a dream scenario for Freddie Freeman. That's the first thing I tweeted about it was, this is what dreams are made of. Grand slam walk-off in the World Series. That's like, obviously it's never happened. Just absolutely perfection. But like, the Yankees were 1 out away from sending it into the next
there were some tweets that already went out that Yankees won Game 1 of the World Series. Like, they got screenshotted of like, oh, a little too soon, buddy. Little too soon.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, don't count your chickens before they're hatched. But I see that as, all right, I'm putting my faith in my guys, and I know that he hasn't pitched in 6 weeks, but this scenario, all the adrenaline, all of like, this is what you work your entire career for, is these specific moments.
But you also you need to be prepared and game shape.
I mean,
ready
if he looked good, if he looked good in his bullpen, he looked good in his bullpen.
So much different than facing.
We're very. My point is we're very close from saying the exact opposite and saying how that was a heroic decision by Aaron Boone.
Yeah,
because it almost worked out,
but it didn't.
It didn't. But that's that's the benefit of hindsight here in these scenarios.
It really is. But that was a legendary win for the Dodgers and crazy momentum that can be carried over to today. This is a match made, you guys, in World Series heaven. Let's just take a moment and appreciate what we're getting right now, because we have the biggest stars in baseball. Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge are the face, but Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Juan Soto, Giancarlo Stanton, the pitching staffs, at any moment, anyone can be the hero, as we saw last night. Also the history. LA versus New York, East Coast versus West Coast, two of the biggest sports cities in the United States. It's so cool. And then also shout out to the Dodgers, who did a special moment honoring Fernando Venezuela before the game. I started crying when they showed the Fernando Mania and his family and the fans' reaction. And I don't mean to I'm not comparing, but the Lakers won in 2020 after Kobe passed. And there's always something magical that happens with the team when there is some sort of do it for a legend. And there's an added emotion added to everything.
And Fernando Valenzuela was around a lot.
Oh, yeah. No, he was a part of the team in the broadcast after.
Yes.
He was not only a Dodger legend when he played,
right,
but
he had been with the organization.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he stayed with the organization.
He was another guy that was just so phenomenal to get to know. Even again, in the short time I was with the organization, it was him. It was Tommy Lasorda was still around. All of these guys that, now are gone, but they still left their lasting legacy there. And it was because not only of who they were as players, but who they were in the front office too.
It's incredible.